The state government is overhauling weapons laws to crack down on criminals using fake guns. While there's support for tighter controls, one industry that relies on toy weapons for war games says its future is being threatened. As Stephanie Smale reports, it might be child's play, but it's also big business.
It's primarily a kids' game and teenagers, but we do get your corporate groups and really all ages play, but the most popular thing is 10-year-old birthday parties. They just love it. It's the best party ever.
War games are big business in Queensland.
I estimate it's probably in the region of $4 to $5 million a year. Our business in total does about $2.5 million a year in turnover in the Queensland economy. And there's 21 independent operators across Queensland. Most of them are smaller than us, but I think if you added it all up, it would be in that region.
The laser skirmish industry fears its game is about to be shot down by new laws aimed at criminals who use fake weapons.
Our industry really hasn't been built into the legislation or the draft bill at all. Right? And so there really is no mention there of laser skirmish, laser tag. It really is not covered. And what is in there, so the issue is what's not in there and what is. And the real issue is that they're defining this thing called an imitation weapon. And an imitation weapon is a reasonable copy of a weapon. And that's all it says. When you're shooting, the infrared beam comes out of here, okay, and you aim with the red dot scope.
Peter Lander runs Battlefield Sports Laser Skirmish in Brisbane. He makes the toy guns used in the game and exports them to 36 countries.
They go up to Cairns and we assemble them up there and put all the electronics in, do all the quality control, and then they get exported around Australia and around the world. So the export side is very important for us.
He says the proposed new weapons legislation is too broad, and it could mean his toy guns would have to be registered and children could need licences to play with them. Even the guns he makes could be banned.
And we know from the experience where this has been used in the past that the police tend to take, because they define what's reasonable, extremely broad, very conservative view. And so we've had models that are very science fiction looking, have no barrel, right, still be defined as imitation weapon.
New South Wales has already implemented these types of laws, and operators there say it's been a disaster.
Now anybody who doesn't have the prohibited weapons permit must get an imitation firearms permit, and that means that they are restricted to using those particular infrared gaming guns to ages 18 and above. So effectively we find that our business, which starts from, we used to be able to operate for 8-year-olds, we're now looking in another couple of years when our permit expires to not being able to offer that family activity to under 18-year-olds.
Operators argue there's no way the guns could be mistaken for the real thing, but legal loopholes mean some have already been ruled out in New South Wales.
But this is actually banned in New South Wales. So some of the characteristics are, well, it's not based on any known firearm, but it is a reasonable copy. It has a tube at the front, and you will notice that there's actually no barrel. It's purposely designed that way.
They don't look like a gun of a known calibre or anything. The issue is when you take them to the local police officer, they laugh and they say, what are you talking about? Why do you need to have a permit? As far as they're concerned, there's no need for it in New South Wales, but we are actually having to do it because of the legislation change.
Operators are worried that if toy guns like these have to be registered, it will add a whole new level of costly security to their business. They say the guns are already secure, and that's not going to change.
Each one of these is at least $1,000 each, right? This commercial grade kit, and so every operator and ourselves having reasonable security is really important. We have them in a purpose-built cage when they've been stored. We have a security system in place. We count them in, we count them out every time.
The Queensland government says the laser skirmish industry shouldn't be ducking for cover. It says toy guns are exempt, even though it's not written in the legislation.
There is absolutely no intention or desire to capture toys within this legislation. A toy is a toy and will remain a toy. This is all about providing a more precise definition on the target, which is those items which are intended to be exact copies or replicas of the real thing.
The government says as long as the playing guns don't resemble real weapons, there won't be a problem.
If laser skirmish operators start to introduce weapons which look like the real thing, they'll find themselves potentially caught by the legislation. But as long as they remain outside the legislation, as they currently appear to be doing now, with guns which bear no resemblance to a real weapon, then they've got nothing to worry about.
But skirmish operators want this protection to be written into the legislation. They say the experience in New South Wales is just the beginning, and other state and territory governments will use it as a template as national weapons laws are rolled out. And they've dismissed suggestions of making the toy guns look more like toys.
The reality is that we service different markets, and as you're moving into an older age group, you know, they're looking for something that's a bit more authentic. They really want to get into the feel. This is an entertainment experience. It's a little bit like saying, well, why don't they make the movies and all use pink guns in the movies?
If you were to try and make them any different, I'm not exactly sure how they would look. I mean, you can put your finger in your pocket and point it at somebody and they can assume that that's a gun. Are we going to ban finger pointing? I mean, it's as simple as that. These are toys.
Laser skirmish game operators will be meeting police next week. The consultation period on the new laws ends on September the 14th.